Tú no sabes nada. Toda mi vida es para ti. Toda mi vida es para ti. Ahora yo necesito ir con tu familia, con lloras.
And 3, 2, 1, cue the waterworks. Danielle's the victim, guys. How dare Yohan be so inconsiderate?
I need to go home and figure out what I want to do with my life because I'm not going to live like this. It's not worth it for me.
Okay, so Danielle has to be the single most dramatic person in the world. I'm officially dubbing her the queen of making mountains out of molehills. But before we find out why her life is apparently so terrible, let's get some context real quick. We left the couple last week with Yohan warning Danielle that if she went through with going to see her ex, there would be consequences.
Last night, I told Yohan that my ex Talon was in town and I wanted Yohan to meet him. He did not respond very well, but this morning he's acting as if nothing happened.
The poor man is probably sick to death of arguing with you over and over again. I mean, you had the conversation, you had the fight, you clearly didn't respect his opinion, so what exactly do you want Yohan to do? At this point, regardless of what she says, I'm getting the feeling Danielle is just addicted to arguing.
Today is Yohan's birthday. I don't want to fight with him today. I want to show him that I'm invested in making this relationship work. So I'm doing this ritual to try to bring some peace into this day so that we can enjoy it.
So Danielle's spiritual advisor, Baba, tells her to cover a coconut with eggshell powder, then kick it around her apartment. This Ifa ritual is supposed to create a peaceful home and stop her and her husband from fighting. But it's got to be a pretty powerful coconut, because in order for this to work, it's also got to change literally everything about Danielle's personality.
¿Te ayudo en algo?
No, no es tú. Pero es yo, so tú no quieres.
No importa, te puedo ayudar.
Pero tú no crees en eso porque tú quieres ayudar.
Wow, either that coconut's working already, or Yohan wasn't the problem to begin with. The problem is, even though the magic seems to be working on Yohan, it's still not filtered through to Danielle. Because even though Yohan's being supportive and getting involved with Danielle's beliefs, she uses this as an opportunity to be passive-aggressive about the fact that Yohan doesn't also practice Ifa.
Pregunto por paz.
Sí, pregunta a Dios.
Señor, que Daniela no sea tan terca, que no pelee tanto.
But look, today is Yohan's birthday, so let's focus on the positives. Danielle is organising a surprise party for him tonight with all of his family. And we know Danielle prides herself on being very grounded and organised.
As someone who's very grounded in practices and like order and organization, I'm struggling a lot with the fact that my is all over the place.
So if she's so organised, why has she left it until the morning of his birthday to order a customised birthday cake?
Para escribir no tengo para hoy ya.
¿Yo puedo escribir?
No, a esta hora ya no se le escribe a los bizcochos.
Pero yo puedo. Tú no necesitas hacer nada.
It's not exactly very grounded of her for her to start arguing with the man behind the counter. Danielle's just expecting the bakery to hand over their piping tools and allow her to start decorating a cake. And she can't comprehend why this poor employee won't just let her do whatever she wants. I guess it's good to know that Danielle isn't just saving all her awfulness solely for Yohan. Apparently she's like that with everyone.
These cakes are way too basic for my husband. If we were in New York, I would get a cake that looks like Yohan, like I would get it as his like upper body.
There she goes, looking down her nose again. Can someone please remind Danielle that she's not in New York anymore? She complains about NYC when she's there, and she complains about DR when she's here, so it seems her factory setting is just set to always complain. I wonder why she's trying so hard to get Yohan the perfect cake. Could it be that she's feeling a little guilty about their fight yesterday? Or maybe the coconut is working.
This guy's telling me that he can't write on the cake, he can't decorate on the cake. He says he has no icing for me to write with. There's clearly cakes in the window. Why can everybody else have their cake and I can't have mine?
Here's a groundbreaking thought, Danielle. Maybe it's because everyone else was actually organised. Now, the worker clearly explains that the bakers have left for the day. That's why there's no more decorating services available. But Danielle refuses to take no for an answer. She's clearly causing a bit of commotion in the shop. And perhaps in a bid just to get her out of there and shut her up, the worker hands her the decorating tools and allows her to pipe on the cake herself.
The faster he gives in to what I'm asking for, the faster he's gonna get me out of the store. So eventually he's just like, fine, go ahead, lady. I'm always gonna get what I want.
She really is the worst, isn't she? She's not even embarrassed by how she acts, just as long as she gets her own way. She goes around acting like the world revolves around her. I feel like what she's saying to this baker is symbolic of her relationship with Yohan, because the faster he gives in to her, the faster he'll get the peace he wants.
Excelente trabajo.
Gracias.
Si tú quieres, también te podemos dar trabajo porque tú haces un buen trabajo. Excelente trabajo.
no tengo un trabajo, so yo
Te podemos emplear también.
Give this guy a tip, because even after seeing what a nightmare customer Danielle was, his customer service is impeccable. And hey, maybe Danielle should consider the offer, because paid work is something she doesn't have a lot of at the moment. What with their apartment in a fancy part of town, and her constantly stressing about how she's going to pay for everything, maybe this might be a good opportunity for her.
For this birthday, Yohan thinks that he and I are going to dinner on the beach. But actually, I've invited every member of his family to come to dinner along with us.
Organising this surprise for him is actually a rare moment of sweetness from Danielle. Credit where it's due, it's a lovely thought, and it's very nice of her to involve his entire family. Now, it's noticeable that none of Yohan's friends have been invited, but I guess that's hardly a surprise, especially considering how awkward it was last time Danielle met Yohan's friends.
Hey, se pasaron ahí. Yo estoy de verdad sorprendido.
Danielle admits that she's gone to all this effort to prove to Yohan that he is a priority in her life. And that's especially significant considering yesterday while they were fighting, Yohan admitted that he felt she always put him second to her friends. But on this occasion, Danielle has clearly made the right decision. And seeing all his family there means a lot to Yohan. But maybe he hasn't quite forgiven Danielle just yet. He might seem happy, but it soon becomes apparent he's still harbouring resentment from that fight.
Te faltó una cosa que tú no dijiste.
¿El qué?
Gracias a tu esposa, Daniela.
Por esa sorpresa.
Uh-oh, awkward. Just look at Danielle's face. She is pissed off. Look, it's definitely petty of Yohan not to thank his wife after all of her efforts. But after everything Danielle's been putting him through, all the disrespect she's shown to him, well, a cake and some balloons aren't just gonna fix it all. Everyone around the table notices that Danielle's upset, but when she walks out of the restaurant, Yohan just ignores her.
The fact that he's willing to completely ignore that I exist in front of his entire family in public is really humiliating.
Okay, I take back what I said about that coconut. It's clearly not working. Now, what's interesting here is Danielle's choice of wording. She's not sad or hurt by what Yohan did. She says she found it humiliating. There she was, expecting praise for her actions, but when Yohan didn't respond in the way she wanted in front of his family, she walked away with a bruised ego.
Es mucho embarrassing.
Desde ayer. Ayer tú dañaste mi cumpleaños. Desde ayer. ¿Quieres ver a tu amigo un antes de mi cumpleaños? ¿Cómo tú crees que yo me siento?
The thing is, Danielle, you're not the only one with a bruised ego. Yohan's nursing his own, and he's been stewing about it for the last 24 hours. Sure, he may have loved seeing his family at a surprise birthday party, but that doesn't change how disrespected he felt when Danielle told him she wanted to see her ex on the eve of his birthday. For someone who's currently having a tantrum about being embarrassed, Danielle seems incapable of seeing how her own actions have also humiliated her husband.
Tú no sabes nada. Todo mi vida es para ti. Todo mi vida es para ti. Ahora yo necesito ir con tu familia, con lloras.
Yohan is expressing why he's upset and is giving Danielle the opportunity to explain herself. But Danielle is up to her old tricks. She's crying and she's attempting to manipulate the conversation so that she is suddenly the victim again. She's the one that sacrificed her life for him. She's the one who's constantly misunderstood. And she's the one who has to go back to the party crying.
Tú dices por qué yo no estoy contento en mi cumpleaños. Tú haces tus planes, tú tienes un esposo y tú no me dices nada. Un día antes de mi cumpleaños.
You can literally see the moment where Danielle realises that her tears aren't going to work with Yohan this time. So she just shuts them off like a switch. She changes tactics and she reverts back to her usual method of fighting and telling him that he's crazy. Now, what was interesting in what Yohan said was he said, quote, "You make your plans." Now, I don't know if that's a translation error or maybe a miscommunication, but from what we've been told so far, Danielle hasn't yet made plans to meet her ex. In fact, she claimed she was going to ask Yohan first.
Porque él quiere ver a yo, pero yo dice, yo tengo un esposo, yo necesito hablar con él, y él no tiene un problema, no es un problema.
So what I'm curious about here is whether Yohan's anger is because Danielle made an albeit annoying request, or whether she's actually gone ahead and made plans to meet up with her ex. Has she just ignored Yohan's warning that there would be consequences? Either way, Danielle's now decided to make Yohan's birthday entirely about her, and she's leaving the event early with the car.
I feel like I've made a lot of choices to make Yohan's life better, and he doesn't appreciate them, and he's very, it's either my way or the highway, and he's very ungrateful.
Danielle has this illusion that she has somehow saved Yohan's life. She's flown in with a cape or a witch's broom and somehow made his life better. But how exactly? What's she done to make his life better? And I'm not talking about a fancy meal in a nice restaurant. The truth is, Yohan's still out there working multiple jobs to try and make ends meet. He's still working his butt off trying to support his family. Maybe behind the scenes Danielle's contributing to that, but from what we've seen, all that Danielle's really added to his life is constant bickering, lots of fighting, and continuously undermining his self-worth. But hey, she paid for some potions and $200 worth of peanuts. So in her mind, I guess that must make it okay.
I've had this relationship before, and it always ends badly. And so I need to go home and figure out what I want to do with my life, because I'm not going to live like this. It's not worth it for me.
What's she even talking about? Live like what, Danielle? These are the facts. Look, you're living in an idyllic part of the world, in an apartment that costs probably less than half what you were paying in New York, with a toy boy husband with model good looks, who puts up with your bullshit, yet for some inexplicable reason, you're determined to act like the victim. Sorry, but I'm just not buying it.